I'm a 20-year-old who skipped college and went against most norms that society tries to push. Since then, I've traveled the world with some of my best friends, made over $10,000 from my laptop, but most importantly, I have this feeling that I truly am living a life that I won't regret. Now, I always had big goals, but just 4 years ago, I had literally no idea how to achieve them and just tried to numb that feeling by cheap dopamine and scrolling on TikTok. Getting clear on what truly drove me led me to my current mission, which is getting to $100,000 per month while actually enjoying life. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly how you can set yourself up so you can actually do the same. And when it comes to trying to achieve goals, something that I've learned is that everybody has these two forces pulling them. There's these goals that you're actually running towards. Simultaneously, there's fears that you're actually running away from. And most people will never realize this. They'll go ahead and chase things blindly without even knowing why they want them. For example, the goal of making $10,000 a month. If we were to use the internet money space as an example, people would chase that without even truly knowing why. The same exact thing with, I guess, modern day society telling you that buying a house, for example, should be a goal that everybody has. So people will start chasing that without even knowing if that's something that they really want. Probably even with my own goal of wanting to make $100,000 in a month. And something that I realized is that as I grew up, I never felt like I was the best at anything. I was never the best at football. I was never that outstanding, smart student in school. And to be super vulnerable, I was just never that main character per se. I just felt average. And what this did was create a drive to be seen as significant. As I grew up, realizing this genuinely changed everything for me. I started to connect the dots on why my goals started to actually make sense. For example, I have this goal of having this personal brand, having millions of subscribers, people that could look up to me, people that I could help. The reason why at a deep subconscious level this goal even attracted me was because I want to be seen as significant. I want to be seen as that main character, and this one part of me craves attention because that's not what I had growing up. I didn't have the intention coming from girls. I didn't have it coming from, he's the best athlete. So this idea of being able to build this through content and through a personal brand just always drove me. It just always felt something like I was meant for. Even with my goal of wanting to make $100K a month as a business owner, I realized that it's coming from this need that I need to be in control, because as I was growing up, I pretty much consistently felt like I was being controlled by people who weren't looking in my best interest, whether it was with certain coaches or certain teachers, even old bosses at my 9-to-5. It developed this part of me that literally could not stand being told what to do and having to do it. And finally, the part of me that wants to chase experience, that wants to max out my youth, build success and have the best experiences in life at the same exact time. I'm still trying to get clear on this, but I'm realizing that maybe a part of me feels like I need to prove to myself that I made the right decision after skipping out on college. Part of me feels like I maybe made the wrong one, maybe missed out. But essentially, every single one of my goals are connected to deeper drivers, and every single person has these. Everybody has these childhood wounds who form them into the people that they are today. And most people, they might view these as negative things they try to stay away from, or things that they try to hide. But honestly, they could be used as powerful fuel when it comes to discipline, when it comes to actually achieving your goals, because they're coming from somewhere that's so deeply rooted within you. They could create this level of obsession, right? This obsession to be able to achieve whatever it is you want, because you'll be soothing this 10-year-old version of yourself. And without being aware, or even trying to be aware of what these things are for yourself, you can get caught in that cycle of chasing things forever without even really knowing why, whether it's chasing a specific career or a specific thing that makes you look successful. And I always hear like this thing of people just becoming successful, them still feeling empty. And I genuinely believe like a big part of that could be because they never understood why they actually wanted it. They were chasing what most people labeled as successful. And the only way that I was able to even become aware of this, to even realize these things myself, was through this one exercise, which I actually learned from Charlie Morgan, which is called Socratic reasoning, which is literally just sitting down with yourself, thinking of your goals and asking yourself why. Continuously asking yourself why. For myself, an example of this was my goal of $100,000 per month. I knew that was a goal. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I was sitting down with myself and asked myself, why do I actually want that? And when I wrote it down, it was because I wanted full freedom and I wanted control over my own life. And then again, asking myself why. Why did I want full freedom? Why did I want control over my own life? And that brought me to that second layer, which was because I don't want to report to anybody. I want to be able to do what I want when I want. And then going a third layer deeper, asking myself why again was because I hated people telling me what to do, especially if I have to do it, even if I don't want to. So for example, like I mentioned earlier, with teachers or with football coaches, and I'll get a little personal here, but asking myself why on that a fourth time, which could be a stack of reasons. And for myself, it likely was because I was being forced to play football when I got to a point that I essentially ended up hating it. I was needing to report to elders, teachers, or people that were quote unquote in charge, even if they weren't looking in my best interest. And essentially, this exact exercise is legitimately continuing to ask yourself why until the true deep reason actually shows up. And this is not something that comes instantly at all, but being able to sit down with yourself and take an hour, take 2 hours, makes you so much more aware of yourself. And when you can actually have that awareness and understand where your goals are actually coming from, everything will genuinely start to make more sense. Your goals will start to feel more meaningful because you'll actually be chasing things that matter to you. And after deep reflection, I do truly feel like that's a huge part on why I feel like I'm living a life that I love. And I'm not following society's path of what other people think is labeled successful. I'm truly building something that I feel aligned with. And if you're 16 to 20 years old, this is something that's so important to even just be aware of. Because if you can see that your childhood wounds, the things you lacked when you were young, you can actually use that as fuel to get to your goal. And the thing with that is that they don't work for the long term, because at the end of the day, if you're just chasing success to prove something or to escape, a certain feeling, you'll never actually get there. Your brain is always gonna want more. So a good way to think about it is that these wounds, they could start the fire, but they shouldn't decide that final destination, which is exactly where the awareness part of it actually ties in. Because if you can take a step back and actually understand why you want something, you will actually get closer to building a life that you genuinely love and building a mission that's bigger than yourself. And that's something that I struggled with for so long. I didn't understand. I always heard the saying, or people around me saying that you need something that's bigger than yourself. And it wasn't until I asked myself these questions, I asked myself why over and over and over again, where I just actually got clear on it, which for me is actually showing people that they can become successful while actually enjoying life, not sacrificing all the things that make life worth living. When you could become aware of these different things, maybe you could see, just like mine, is that your mission usually comes from helping other people who have similar wounds as you do. And I genuinely believe that if you could sit down and ask yourself and even do this exercise, you are going to save yourself years of time and get so clear on how to set yourself up to live a life that you truly want. I appreciate you for watching. Talk soon.